From Trevor Noah's compliant applause panic, to Sean Evans' deer in headlights freeze, to the Tonight Show desk Jimmy Fallon nearly lost on live network television, here are 10 times Bill Burr absolutely demolished a talk show host.
All of these years.
Positive, yeah, that's so great.
Well, it's a positive time, Jimmy.
Yeah, it really is.
Billionaires are not happy having $1 billion.
Subscribe so you do not miss the next breakdown. The wrecking ball is about to swing. Late-night television is an engineered structure. The host asks a load-bearing question. The guest delivers sanitized promotional drywall. The studio audience claps the segment into existence. For 3 decades, Bill Burr has walked onto these polished sets, looked at the blueprints, and brought a sledgehammer instead of a press tour. Welcome to Demolition Day. The Network Newbie. Breaking ground at site number 10. The Daily Show with Trevor Noah. The format is engineered for ideological compliance. The host feeds the guest a load-bearing question about a politically safe target. The studio audience erupts in pre-programmed applause. The segment ends with mutual nods all around. It is a sanitized PR transaction wearing a satire costume. Trevor Noah is the network newbie, still operating off the union manual handed to him by the Comedy Central executives.
It is also crazy how comedians will take the most smoke in the day and age that we live in, right? Like the president of the United States goes to Saudi, dances with them. People just yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do, you know?
He attempts to guide Burr into the partisan critique the producers ordered. Burr looks at the blueprints, refuses to pick up a hammer, and turns the sledgehammer onto the audience itself. He questions their demand for moral purity, the exact outrage scaffolding the show is built on. Noah laughs nervously, tries to patch the drywall, but the foundation is already cracked. The studio audience stooge. Site number 9 is early foundational cracking. Craig Ferguson built his Late Late Show on the architecture of charming, freewheeling chaos, flirtation with the audience, deflections to the puppet horse, the persona of a guy who genuinely could not care less about his own talk show. The studio audience stooge is one of the most charming demolition targets you can build because his entire brand denies that he is even doing PR in the first place. Ferguson tries to employ his standard load-bearing charm, treating the interview like a casual after-hours conversation. Burr breaks out the blueprints in the middle of the segment and starts pointing at the studs. He examines the absurd machinery of the late-night desk dynamic out loud, openly questioning the premise of 2 grown men sitting at a fake table performing for a camera. Every time Ferguson tries to rebuild conversational momentum, Burr swings the hammer. The promotional patsy. At site number 8, the wrecking ball swings into Bravo network territory. Watch What Happens Live is a structure engineered out of cheap gossip and reality television drywall. Andy Cohen is the promotional patsy. His show survives entirely on guests willing to play the sycophantic game, fawning over manufactured Real Housewives drama, and lobbing softballs about which celebrity made out with whom at a clubhouse cocktail party. When Burr enters this set, the structural mismatch is immediate. Cohen tries to install a load-bearing question about Bravo trivia, expecting Burr to play along. Burr looks at the blueprints, laughs at the shoddy craftsmanship, and refuses to pick up a tool. He flatly rejects the foundational premise that Real Housewives is a thing worth discussing on national television. The rapid-fire compliant energy Cohen depends on stalls completely. The cocktail party set goes silent. The cue card casualty. Site number 7 is the Ed Sullivan Theater. June 2022. Stephen Colbert runs one of the most tightly controlled construction sites in late-night television. Colbert is a master of the intellectualized pivot. He keeps guests strictly within the bounds of his cue cards, redirecting unscripted moments back into tidy academic debates. The cue card casualty operates on the assumption that he can install philosophical safety rails before any structural risk emerges. He tries to draw Burr into a serious, load-bearing discussion about Catholicism. Burr ignores the safety warnings completely. He bypasses the theological framework and goes directly to the dark, unfiltered mechanics of intrusive thoughts, comparing the human brain's lack of impulse control to the urge to drive a car straight into a crowd of pedestrians. Colbert sits frozen. The intellectual scaffolding cannot hold the weight of unfiltered reality. The sponsored segment Sycophant. At number 6, we examine a digital demolition. Hot Ones presents itself as the authentic alternative to network late night. The gimmick is progressively spicy chicken wings, forcing celebrities to drop their PR guard. The blueprint claims to strip away promotional armor through pure capsaicin pressure, but Burr identifies the gimmick itself as just another form of manufactured scaffolding. As Sean Evans, the sponsored segment sycophant, walks Burr through the meticulously planned gauntlet of extract sauces, Burr turns the hammer on the host himself. Red in the face, hallucinating from the heat, sweating through his shirt, Burr does not just complain about the wings, he curses out the architect. He exposes the show's underlying premise as a hollow PR parade dressed up as authenticity. While other celebrities use the pain to endear themselves, Burr actively fights the format, dragging Evans into the rubble with him. The Producer's Puppet, breaking ground at site number 5. The Joe Rogan Experience, June 2020. Pandemic, lockdown. Rogan's studio is usually an impregnable fortress where the host dictates the reality of the room. He pushes a pseudo-medical anti-mask narrative, expecting Burr to either agree or passively absorb. Rogan, acting as his own producer's puppet, tries to bait Burr into a conspiratorial debate about CDC credibility. Burr refuses to even look at the blueprints. He drops the sledgehammer directly on Rogan's qualifications, completely dismantling the host's authority inside Rogan's own studio. He paints the exact picture of the absurdity. A man with an American flag and a cigar acting like the CDC. It is a masterclass in structural denial. Rogan tries to rebuild the argument. The foundation is already cracked. The macho intellectual scaffolding collapses under the weight of its own arrogance. The late-night lapdog. At site number 4, we witness the systematic demolition of an ego. Club Random Podcast, 2024. Bill Maher has spent decades reinforcing his own intellectual scaffolding, demanding that guests treat him as a serious geopolitical architect. He is a late-night lapdog to his own sense of superiority. He attempts to box Burr out of a political conversation, claiming the subject is, quote, his thing, end quote. Burr does not just crack the foundation, he raises the entire site. He identifies Maher's geopolitical persona as hollow drywall, comparing him to a guy who plays fantasy football and genuinely believes he is a general manager. The studio comes down around Maher instantly. Maher tries to laugh it off. He cannot. He sits visibly seething as Burr methodically points out that Maher has accomplished absolutely nothing in Washington despite 3 decades of pundit posturing. Terry. Moving into the top 3. We arrive at a public radio construction site that has remained structurally undisturbed for decades. NPR Fresh Air, March 2025. The format is built on quiet reverence, hushed load-bearing questions, deeply sanitized for public radio donors. The host, Terry, expects a polite, intellectualized excavation of the guest's psyche. But when she asks Burr to name the elite billionaires manipulating modern society, Burr backs a dump truck full of unsanctioned explosives directly into the audio booth. Without a second of hesitation, he drops a verifiable, on-the-record Nazi label onto Elon Musk, citing the billionaire's behavior at a presidential inauguration. You can practically hear the public radio scaffolding snapping in half. He immediately turns the wrecking ball onto the liberal audience itself, mocking their toothless, performative outrage. Terry tries to find the blueprints to rein him in. He swats it away. He leaves the prestige audio format in absolute rubble. Jimmy. At site number 2, we witness the destruction of the late-night empathy machine, August 2021. Jimmy Kimmel Live. Jimmy Kimmel has spent years constructing a persona as the relatable, deeply concerned everyman, eyes glistening when needed, hand on the chest when called for. It is highly effective emotional drywall. During this sit-down, Jimmy attempts to frame Burr's comedic anger as a genuine psychological deficit. He leans in. He squints. He puts on the concerned host face. He asks a load-bearing question about Burr's ability to be happy. Most guests would take the bait and deliver a self-deprecating, sanitized anecdote. Burr immediately identifies the structural fraud. He points directly at the host's face and calls out the fake concern, narrating the exact physical mechanics Kimmel just used in real time. The studio audience gasps. The empathy facade falls off the wall. Jimmy. And we end at The Tonight Show, the most heavily fortified PR construction site in network television history, March 18, 2025. Burr is booked to promote his Hulu special and his Broadway debut, a light, sanitized, 5-minute promo featuring Fallon's trademark desk-slapping laughter. The interview begins on schedule. Burr complies with the setup. He defines his special's title for the camera. Then, without warning, he pivots the foundational support of the entire interview. He launches into an extended, unfiltered tirade against tech billionaires. Fallon, the other Jimmy, feels the temperature shift in the room.
All of
So
these years.
positive. Yeah, that's so great.
Well, it's a positive time, Jimmy.
Yeah, it really is.
Billionaires are not happy having $1 billion.
He tries to nervously laugh off the tension with one of the most demolition-vulnerable filler phrases in his arsenal. He says, quote, "So cute," end quote. That is the moment Burr identifies the load-bearing column. He zeroes directly in on Elon Musk's specific physical aesthetics: the Hot Topic wardrobe, the hair plugs, the laminated face. Fallon's deer in headlights freeze is the physical manifestation of a host realizing he has lost total control of his own set on live network television. Network executives are watching. Burr keeps swinging. That is the demolition map. 10 sites, 10 structural failures. From the Comedy Central network newbie who could not handle one off-script answer, to the Bravo gossip clubhouse Burr refused to enter, to the Tonight Show desk Jimmy Fallon nearly lost on live network television, proving that you cannot book Bill Burr for a sanitized promo and expect to keep your show in one piece. The wrecking ball comes when it comes. The audience appetite for this kind of structural collapse is the entire reason late-night ratings are bleeding out. Audiences do not want sanitized drywall. They want the load-bearing columns exposed. Burr brings the sledgehammer every time. If you want to see exactly how the rest of Hollywood is rotting behind the same drywall, watch my full breakdown of Cat Williams' bombshell allegations next. Hit subscribe so you do not miss the next demolition. The crew has cleared the site.